Gemara Brachas. If you see Pinchas in your dream, it's a sign that a pele is going to happen to you. A wondrous thing is going to happen to you. Which, as we'll see in the Sikha, the simple pshat seems, what does Pinchas got to do with pele? So we'll see how Rashi says. In simple pshat, you would think it means because it has a pay. Because in the Gemara, in the Sugi of dreams, it says if you see something and it has a similarity to something else, it's a simon that's going to happen to you. So we'll see Rashi says differently. We see in the Sikha, but it looks at first glance, because Pinchas has a pay, the word pele is a pay. So if you see Pinchas in your dream, it's a simon you're going to have a pele. If you see an elephant in your dream, it also means you're going to have pele, but you're going to have plois lasharabim. It's going to be more than just one wonder. If you see pilim, if you see more than one elephant, you see a lot of elephants. Pile plois nasalei. Wonders of wonders going to happen to you, which means if you see one elephant, it's also many wonders, but it's kamos, many wonders in quantity. And when you see a lot of pilim, piliplois means it'll be wonders of wonders, means the echos in quality be more wonders. Okay, this is the Gemara. But Pirish Rasha Shem Sarasha says that when you see Pinchas in your dream, pele nasale, a wonder will happen to you. Why? Commission nasale Pinchas. Oh, Rashi gives a different shot than what I said before. Not because the word Pinchas has a pay. It's because by Pinchas a lot of ployim happened. A pele happened. A wonders happened. Rashi doesn't say ployis. A wonder happened to him. Kedamina b'Sanhedrin, the Gemara tells in Sanhedrin the whole story, what happened to him when he killed Zimri ben Solon, Kozvi Basur. So Rashi learns like that. The Parshas HaGemara mashma, so the Rebbe says, "My simple pshat of the Gemara, it seems, shachilik bein hareya Pinchas lareya pil." What's the difference between when you see Pinchas? When you see Pinchas, it says a pele will happen. If you see a pil, an elephant, pilaplois will happen. What's the difference? Shareya pil, eisen leplois, rabbis. If you see an elephant, it means Hashem will make a lot of wonders to you. Ilareya Pinchas. If you see Pinchas, eisen leirak pele echot. Hashem will make one wonder. Pele lo sheyachid. That's in singular. So when the Gemara says, Poshup Shat in the Gemara, when the Gemara says, if you see an Pinchas in your dream, a pele, one pele will happen to you. One wondrous thing will happen to you. You see an elephant, it means more than one. A lot of wonders will happen to you. But tomorrow, according to Rashi, that the reason is because if you see Pinchas, and by Pinchas, a wonder happened. When you see Pinchas in your dream, it's a simon, a wonder will happen to you. So it's a bonazach. Because the Sanhedrin that Rashi brings, where the Gemara tells the story, the whole detailed story of what happened to Pinchas, before it says that Shisha Nisim Nasalei Pinchas. 6 miracles happened to him. In Targum Yenison, in Sifriyan, in Targum Yenison, and other places it says Shayud Beis Nisim Nasalei. 12 miracles happened. Pirish Rashi Alatere, Rashi and Chumash says V'harba Nisim Nasalei. That a lot of miracles happen. Doesn't give a number, it is a lot. So if so, Madua Areya Pinchas B'cholim Rak Pele Echad Nasalei. Why, if you see Pinchas in your dream, only one wonder will happen? If a lot of nisim happen to him, Rashi says, why is it? Because it's like Pinchas. If you see Pinchas, and by Pinchas there was a Pele, so it'll assume it'll happen to you too. By Pinchas there was more than one Pele. There were many nisim, 6, 12, or many. Yes, I'm going to add to it and bring out my kasha even stronger. If not for Rashi, we would have said the difference like this. We would have answered the shaila. Similar, but the Gemara says later on. The Gemara says like this, in the same sugya. If you see Huna in the dream, it's a similar nest will happen to you. If you see Chanine or Chananya or Yechanan, Nisan Nasalei. Miracles of miracles will happen to you. What's the difference? Well, Pirish Rashi Sham, and Rashi says, when the Gemara says, if you see Huna in your dream, Nes Nasalei, because Nun can make a Nun. Nes is a Nun. Huna has a Nun. So if you see Huna, it's a simon that it will be a miracle to you. Chanine, why Chanine is more than one? Because Nun in Harbe has 2 Nuns, a lot of Nuns. So Nisim Harbe. So just like Rashi says over there, so we could explain the same thing, the difference between Pinchas and Pil. The Pinchas you can get Pele. Why is it that if you see Pinchas you'll have a pele because of the pay. That's how you would have learned, like I said in the beginning, not like Rashi. Now, by appeal, why over there you'll see more than one wonder? Because appeal has more than one letter of the word pele. It has a pay and has a lamed. How does it make it? So it'll add. The yesh ployes, so you'll have more than just a pele. You'll have ployes, loshen rabbi. Just like it says the third thing, if you see elephants, more than one, you will happen pila ployes. Hainu, what does that mean? If it says if you see an elephant, you'll be miracles more than one. So what will happen when you see a lot of pilim? It'll be not only more, a lot of miracles quantity, but you'll have them more in quality. The same thing we would learn pshat here also. If you see Pinchas, only one pele will happen. Why? Because a pay in a pay. If you see Pil, it has two letters of the word pele. But it's not like Rashi. That's only if you learn that why if you see Pinchas, a pele will happen is because of the pay. Rashi says that that's not the pshat. Rashi says this is not the pshat. Rashi says, Rashi says, what is the reason? Why if you see Pinchas in your dream, a pele will happen? Not because the pay, the letter pay, is a remes for the pele, which is also a pay. It's a different thing, because if you see Pinchas, so whatever happened to Pinchas will happen to you too. That by Pinchas, a miracle happened, so a pele will happen to you too. So if that's the reason, we can't say that the reason it's only one pele is because there's only a pay. But it has nothing to do with the letter pay, according to Rashi. It has to do with what happened to Pinchas. Now, where does Rashi get this from? That's a Zaitika Shaya, side Shaila. Why doesn't Rashi learn simple? That the word Pinchas, if you see Pinchas, since Pinchas is a pay, this will be also a pele, which is a pay. Here later on, Rashi says, when it says, if you see Huna, why will there be Nisim? Because it has a nun. If you see a word with two nuns, you'll have more than one Nisa Nisim. Why doesn't Rashi learn the same thing here? It would make sense. It's all the same Hemshech HaGemara. That if you see Pinchas, it's a pay. The reason is, Al Pi Hemshech Divrei HaGemara Sham, based on what the Gemara says later on. The Gemara says, Areya Huna. The Gemara explains, he said, if you see Huna, there will be a nest. But the Gemara says, Pirushay Shero Shem Zeh Biksob. It doesn't mean if you see a person called Huna. If you see the letter Huna, the word Hey, Vov, Nun in your dream, Shero Tevas Huna, you see the word Huna, or the word Chanina, Ksuva. That's what Rashi has written. Since over there it means if you see it written, makes sense. So the remes is connected to the words, the letters that you saw. And peel, but when it says if you see Pinchas is a pellet, you see a peel, the peel employs many more than one. It doesn't mean there that you saw the word, the letter, the word, the ACS of the word Pinchas. Means you saw the face of Pinchas, or you saw the face of the shape of an elephant. How do we know that? The Gemara says, the Gemara says when they get an elephant, the Gemara asks Sakasha. Says if you see an elephant, that means it'll be a lot of pellets to you. The Gemara asks, but in a different place it says if you see an elephant in your dream, it's a bat simon. The Gemara says depends if you see him with a saddle or without a saddle. If you see him with a saddle, it's a good simon. It's a bad simon. So obviously, we're talking about actually seeing the elephant, not seeing the word pei yud lamed. Same thing with Pinchas. So since you saw Pinchas in your dream, and it's not negated, it's not the word that you saw, but you actually saw him. It's connected to what happened to Pinchas. That's why Rashi learns it's connected to what happened to him. But then, if that's the pshat, if the pshat is because what happened to Pinchas is what's going to happen to you, the Gemara says a lot of miracles. Why does Rashi say one pella only? If you see an elephant, there'll be a lot of pellets, and he'll be one pellet, which is one nest. But a lot of nisim happen to him. The answer is by another kasha. That way Rashi learns that what it means is that you see Pinchas, a pella will happen because it'll be like what happened to Pinchas. Why does Rashi say the word pella? Rashi quotes that the Gemara Sanhedrin says a lot of miracles happen. There the Gemara said the Lashon Nisim. Haveleleim and Nes Nasalei. Gemara says the Nes will happen. See, if you learn not like Rashi, that is because of the pay. Obviously, Rashi has to say the word Pele, because it's because of the pay. But if you learn like Rashi, that has nothing to do with his name. It has to do with what happened to him. So Rashi, Gemara should have said, if you see Pinchas in your dream, Nes Nasalei, because there was Nisim. So besides the Kasha, it should be more than one. But even the one that Rashi does mention, why does he change the words from Nes to Pele? Now, if you're going to say, but you know, it's connected to the name Pinchas also. Okay, it's not because Rashi learns because of what happened to Pinchas, but it's also connected to the word Pinchas. That's not an answer. Just like we said that the word Pele fits to the pay of Pinchas, the word Nes also fits to the word Pinchas, because the word Pinchas has two letters of the word Nes. The both letters of the word Nes is there. That's a very stronger connection than the letter Pei to Pele, which is one letter, when you have here Pinchas has the word Nes in it. So Avad Rashi should have written the word Nes. Now, the question will be now, it depends on what does a Pele mean? And the Rebbe is going to bring out, I'm saying it, Ragome, that there are two different types of what Pele means. Is a Pele more than a Nes, bigger miracle in the word Nes, or is it a lesser miracle? So he says like this. Sometimes it's explained the difference between these two expressions. Can you please mute yourself? That Nes, what does Nes mean? Nes means like a pole. That's the real type of a Nes. Because of Shalifni Pasha saying, like in the Posik, in the previous Parsha, there we see the word Nes. In the order, it says Nes means, it says when they made the Nechash HaNecheshes, when Moshe Rabbeinu made that, he put like Yasemei Al Nes, he put it on a pole. It's very high. So according to that, what does that mean? Something that is higher than nature, goes out of nature. That's called a Nes. Now, the Ilu Pele, what's the word Pele? It's not a real miracle. Something that makes you wonder. It doesn't change the nature of the world. Even if you have a Nes, but it's in Teva.
That's what they think.
Now, it's like a Mashal Purim. This Chanukah and Purim. Chanukah was a real Nes. It is not, naturally, it couldn't happen. Purim is a secret. It's the nature of things happen. But it's a Pele. It definitely is a Pele, a wondrous thing. But sometimes we learn Pele is lower than Nes. That's why we want to use the Lashon here, that it happened to Pele, because most of the miracles that the Shas, the Gemara in Sanhedrin, describes, it's not things beyond nature. It's a wondrous thing that so many things happen, but it's not Nisim. One of them, when Pinchas came to kill him, he could have separated. Then he wouldn't be able to kill him. Why didn't he do it? It's a Pele. He could have said something, he didn't speak, whatever. The Gemara goes and things like that. So these are things which, like you say, wow, this is what happened. But not a miracle of Ma'ila Madera Chateva. So that's why you could say, we don't call it Nes, we call it Pele. It's hard to answer this. If you look at the two last miracles, which is, one of them is Shabo Malach V'Higbi Asamashkiv, when he took him with the sword both together, and he wanted to take him out of the door, they were too high. The door was the post was too low. Came a Malach and picked up the top of the door, the top of the mashkiv. Another thing, Bo Malach V'Hishchiz Bom. People wanted to kill Pinchas, so came Malach and hit them. That's something that's not natural. These are not nisim that are in Teva. According to the Midrashim, that there were more nisim, 12. So then most of the things are beyond nature completely. So you can't say that the reason we call it Pele, not Nes, that if you see Pinchas in the dream, a Pele will happen. And not, we don't say Nes, because those things weren't Nisim. Not all were Nisim. Some of them were Ployim, but two of them, according to the Gemara, were certainly Nisim, and according to the Medrash, there were many Nisim. That's what the Rebbe wants to say, that here the word Pele is the opposite. Shekana kavana b'pele nasalim. When we say pele, he pele l'mayla mines. It's the other pshat, a pele that's higher than nes. Al derech loshen hakosav. Where do we find that word pele means higher than nes? Because l'chura is simple pshat. Pele means a wonder, and nes is wow, and then nes it's a wonder zach. So he said we do find it. The pasuk says, "Kimei tzeis chameretz Mitzrayim erenu niflois." Just like he went out of Mitzrayim, so when Mashiach will come, I'll show you wonders. What does that mean? Shakavana bezed the pshat is shebegula asida love yia nisim gedolim. Mashiach will come and be such great miracles. Shafilu be'erech la nisim shira la v'seina b'yetzias Mitzrayim. Shalei hoyi milabashim ekeva yia begeder from the floors. And even compared to the nisim that happened by Yetzias Mitzrayim, and by Yetzias Mitzrayim they were all nisim b'yam teva. Mashiach will come and be even more than that. That's what the pasuk means. And what does he say? What does he refer to it? The word pele. So this is what Rashi means. When he writes, Rashi says, Gemara says if you see Pinchas, pele nasale, a pele will happen. So Rashi says why, like it happened to Pinchas, as the Gemara says in Sanhedrin. What does Rashi mean? So Pashup Pshat in Rashi is, if you want to know what the miracle is, look at Sanhedrin. The Rebbe wants to say more. Shebe Gemara Sanhedrin Shamuchach, Rashi quotes Sanhedrin because from that Gemara you see, Sheikar Achidish Etzel Pinchas Ein Kamas Anitzim Shanasale. What happened by Pinchas is not just that many miracles happened. If you look in the Gemara, yeah, the Gemara says 6 miracles happened, but that's not the point. This is that a pele happened to him. A pele doesn't mean how many. A pele is a matzav, a certain level. Not only a lot of miracles happen, 6, 12, whatever. A certain quality, a certain style that's beyond nature. A behavior with Pinchas happened that's beyond. Mufla here, he uses the word mufla. Mufla comes from the word pele, but also sometimes we use the word mufla beyond. I'm thinking, where does it say that? It says that Shlomo Melech said, "Amarti achakum he mufla mimeni." I thought I would know the reason for paraduma, but it's mufla mimeni. It's far from me. Mufla means completely beyond, which means the 6 miracles that is mentioned in Sanhedrin. It is all in the same meaning. At this point, what he did to Zimri, means in everything that he did in this issue, there was a nes. So what does that mean? That shows clearly the whole behavior of the Eibishter with Pinchas was completely beyond normal. It's a nogah shel pele. It's not how many miracles happened. So many miracles happened. The whole behavior with Pinchas is pele. So again, Rashi says pele nasale. The Gemara says yisipich pele nasale. Like it happened to Pinchas. Rashi doesn't mean like a pele happened to me. Yeah, it means a pele, but not a pele means one nes. Like we thought in the beginning of the Sikha, we learned Pshat in the Gemara. It means one. That's why he asked the Kasha. One nes happened. A lot of these happened. So he says no. It means the whole behavior was pele. It was a peletic behavior, a behavior beyond teva, which expressed itself in many, many different details. I'll explain it more. The Rebbe says, a miracle means changing the style of teva, of nature. When we use that lotion, what know that pshat is? Normally, it should behave in teva. There is a way of teva. That's the way it is. What you're doing is you're changing the teva. You're overriding the teva. If you go like that, what happens? Every time there's a miracle, it's going against teva. So normally you're living in teva, then you go shidduch teva means a nes happened, and this nes happens. So this nes is a separate inyan. This nes. Later another nes has to happen. Another nes happens. It's not connected because teva is teva, and each nes is against teva. Mashein kim pele, but they use the word pele. The kol hafloa loshen avdolu plishi quotes from Rashi and Sheftim that when you say hafloa, it means separated. It's completely a separated beyond level. Meiral anhogishum of delis legamra manhogas teva. That the anhoga is the behavior is completely beyond nature. It's not in the category of teva. It's not every time there's a nes, it means, oh, now David should change the teva. Oh, again he changed teva. There was an establishment of a miraculous behavior. That in this issue, in this happening, it's not going to go according to teva. So the pale, many things didn't go according to teva, but that's one unit, one nekuda that's not going to go to teva. This is what Rashi said means when he says that a pella will happen to you. See Pinchas in your dream, a pella will happen like it happened to Pinchas. Pella loshen yochid dafke. Rashi bedafke uses a singular term, and the kasha was why there was many miracles. The reason is like this: this that many miracles happened to Pinchas. But it was one nekuda, one hanhoge of a pella. Moved to Lagaman and Hogge with him that's not completely removed from nature. Automatically, there were miracles in every detail, so there was many miracles. You can't call it plois, you can't call it nisim loshen rabim, plural. It's a situation. So obviously that answers the kasha. Why? He says only one, because he doesn't mean one. He means the anhogi of pele. But besed Rebbe adds brackets ula yeshlemer. Maybe you could say shapele shenase laharei pinchas b'cholim ulemayla me'aplois lo shenab meitzel harei pil. See, normal pshat we say like this: if you see Pinchas, a pele will happen to you. If you see a pil, an elephant, plois will happen to you. Which one is better? The pil, because by Pinchas, if you see one, pele will happen to you. But if you see a peel, plois, loshen rabim, many plois will happen. But according to the Rebbe's pshat, it's not, it's the opposite. If you say loshen rabim plois, that it's less than what we're saying, because if we're saying, the way we're saying pshat, the word paket, if it's such a high madrege that your bechlal, your whole anhoge is one thing, you can't use the word plois, because it's not many. There's one anhoge which breaks itself up into different details. So according to this comes out, when he uses the word plois in plural, moving by the case of the pil, we understand it doesn't mean it'll be a psanu hanhoge. But yeah, here he means there'll be a lot of plois. Find the pulish, only plois of wonders. So that's a madrege that you'll have wonders, but not that the whole outlook will change, the whole hanhoge will change. But the pella will become it doesn't mean to be one pella and over there means many ploys. It's a matzev. So by Pinchas, it's even a higher madrege. You see a pella nasa like Pinchas, your whole behavior will be up. If you see a pill, you will have a lot of nekudas. Different miracles will happen to you. Based on what Rasha said, the way we explained, that if you see Pinchas in your dream, a pella will happen. Which means, as Rasha says, why a pella? Like it happened to Pinchas. Moving from that, we understand must be that this is what Pinchas stands for. That's the inyan ikri in Pinchas. It doesn't just mean that at this situation, when Pinchas did this, a pella happened to him. That's not what it means. It means that this is the ikri inyan of Pinchas. How do you know that? If we're going to say just a side thing, it just happened to him, such a thing. You can't say you can't say like this, because on that day, at that moment, a pella happened to Pinchas, as we said before. But that's not his regular style. That's something that happened. But years before, years after, that's not. So if you see Pinchas in your dream, this will happen to you. Why will it happen to you? In other words, if we learn not like Rashi, if you learn the pay, okay, you see Pinchas a pay, Pella is a pay, yeah. So what's happened? At one time, there happened to Pella, so to be. But we're saying now that it's if you see the person, you see Pinchas. You see Pinchas. Now, if a these nisim or this Pella happened to him this and this time, it's a one-time thing. So what does it got to do with seeing Pinchas? Because one time, in 2 hours, if a Pella happened, that's why if you see him, that's what he represents. What is the pshat here? If you see Pinchas, it represents a Pella. Why does it represent a Pella?
How do you know? How do you know how Pinchas looks like?
Well, that's the kasha and hunen and chanina. You could have, it's a good kasha. What I think is the pshat, it's a good shaila. I think it means that you see him, and it says there in the dream, you see that this is Pinchas ben Elazar. Or, doesn't mean you only see his face. You see a whole dream, and in the dream you see Pinchas. And in the dream, the story is that you see that someone tells you see this guy is Pinchas. In other words, it has to be in a way that you know it's Pinchas. Now, there are situations you could figure out how he knows. That must be somehow. Anyway, so the Peil Mamish, you can't say this just something that happened to him once, this special hanhogya, because then seeing him would not mean, oh, that's what he is. Must be this spell. This is what Pinchas stands for. So if you see Pinchas, you see the spell. What does that mean? Means like this. This is the Eibush that behaved with Pinchas in the form of Pele, like we said. Because the way Pinchas behaved to the Eibush is such a similar way of Pele. And the Eibush goes measure for measure. So the Eibush should behave with him. So based on what the Asher says, it comes to tell you, so it's not only explaining the dream and everything, it just comes to tell you what the Madrege, what was the Aveda of Pinchas Bechlal. An Aveda similar to this Inyan of Pele, not a Nes. A Klolozike Pele, a Klolozike Anhogel Amayel Manateve. Dear Inyan, what's the explanation? Inyan Shal Nes Ba'Aveda Sodamhu. Siras Nefesh. When we talk about a miracle, if you apply it to Aveda, what is the Aveda which is similar to a miracle? Siras Nefesh. Why? A miracle shows on the greatness of Hashem. There's nothing that could stop the fulfillment of Hashem's will. And if the way the Teva is, it's against the Rotzen, the could change it. That's the type of Nes. So Nes is to express that the Eibishter is the Balabos, control, and whatever he wants, nothing could stop him. So now when you apply that in the person's Aveda, so the person serves the Eibishter with Mesiras Nefesh, it's similar. Why? What does that show? It shows how strong you want to do the Eibishter's Rotzen. In a way, nothing could stop you. The real Mesiras Nefesh is the pshat that you want to do what the Eibishter does. If you have to be Mesiras Nefesh, you got to be Mesiras Nefesh. But the ikar is that your Metzias is that there is nothing that will stop you, which is parallel to a Nes. A Nes means that the Eibishter could do and nothing could stop him. So here a Yid could do for the Eibishter and nothing could stop him. But in that itself, you have the two inyan. You have Nes, a regular miracle, which is the same thing. Miracle is also l'mayla manateve. And then you have Pele, which is not a miracle, not even many miracles. It's a hanhogeh. What's the difference? Yes, there's a person that does everything not like completely beyond his. He does everything but he does the right thing. He does everything. If at one point, in order to do the right thing, which you normally do, you need Mesiras Nefesh. He works hard. And he brings about in himself a new feeling, a new behavior. Take if God was so strong, till he goes Mesiras Nefesh. So we understand Mesiras Nefesh. Every time you have to do Mesiras Nefesh, it's a new Aveda. The Tzorech Liyas, he said is Chadosh al Zeh. You have to be again awakened because he's not used to Mesiras Nefesh. But since he's a Frumerid and wants to do the right thing, so if it comes a question of Mesiras Nefesh, he'll look into Shulchan Aruch and find out if I have to, I'll do Mesiras Nefesh, and he does it. So that's also going beyond showing that you really want to do the Eibishter's Rotzen and nothing will stop you. But still, it's something that it's based on Seichel, and the Seichel brings him Mesiras Nefesh. And b'meila, every time you do Mesiras Nefesh, you got to make sure that this is the right thing to do. Sometimes you have a person who is, we would call a man of Mesiras Nefesh. He's completely given over to the Eibishter's will. Doesn't have his own will. In Yoni, Mesiras Nefesh. His union is to give himself up to Eibishter. So automatically, anything has to do with Eibishter. He has Mesiras Nefesh. It's not that you have to every time think again. You don't have to think anything. Your whole life is for the Eibishter. And that's all. Nothing will stop you. It's one thing. Al derech hanan bin Pella, like we explained before, when it comes to Pella, shezeo matzev shel anhog nisis, it's a matzev of the way a behavior of a nes. Be'efish anhog zu anhog eragila tivish. Like that's his nature. But that's his matzev. The other guy, his nature is normally not like that. Regularly, he does things al piteva. If you need Mesiras Nefesh, it'll fight just like a regular nes. Nes is that if you need to go against Teva, Eibishter goes against Teva. But this one, it doesn't make it. He does everything right, and that's it. Mesiras Nefesh. That's what Pinchas did. The Kanias Kinosi, what did he do? He was Mekana Eibishter's Kanois. Shesika he put himself in danger. B'inyan she'ein bezechiyuv. The chiddush is that he did it something that he doesn't have to do. The din is, in this case, what he did. If you go to ask a shaila, can I kill this guy for Be'el Aramis being with a goya? The answer is no. If you're a kanoyi, then you do it. It's only a permission that if you do it, you do it. You could do it. So really, he didn't have to do it. Yerushalmi uses even a worse lotion. The Chachamim are not happy when you do this. It's not really something that they endorse. Not only they will paskin to you, they don't endorse it. In this case, was another reason why you shouldn't do it. Moshe didn't do anything. Why would Pinchas do it? I'll say, well, Rasha says, why did Moshe not do it? Because Moshe forgot the halacha that in the case like this, Kanoim Pegin be. But Are Pinchas or Yedea shouldn't some name in halacha. Pinchas didn't know that he forgot it. Because all it says in Rashi is Pinchas came to him and says, didn't you teach us Kanoim Pegin? But Moshe forgot. Didn't you teach us? So he said, so Moshe answered, yes, but the one that brings the letter, let him read it. You know what you said, that you go do it. If you do it. So it's something that we should have held him back. If Moshe is not doing it, why should I do it? And Pinchas he didn't go into any discussion himself. He did the Kinnis Hashem. Which means that it wasn't a cheshm that brought him to do Mesiras Nefesh or do something. It's l'chatchila higher than cheshm. Ish Mesiras Nefesh Be'etzim is a man of Mesiras Nefesh. And here it was something has to do with Kiddush Hashem. Kinnis Hashem's voice, he was Mekad Hashem's voice. And therefore, Mida Keneged Mida, measure for a measure, Shepela Nasale. That's why this Pella, this Hanhoge, Klolis of the Mailam and Ateva happened to him, because that was what Pinchas is. He's a person that he did everything with the Eibishter. Mesiras Nefesh, you need Mesiras Nefesh, let be Mesiras Nefesh. Now the Rebbe says, this will also explain another thing. The reason that what was his reward? That from now on, he and his children will have the covenant of Kahuna. According to Rashi, according to Pshat, what does that mean? That when did Pinchas become a Kayan? Only after he did this. Because he did this. See, and the Rebbe says according to Pshat, because in Gemara, see in Ha'ara 27, he says there's a machlokes. So Rasha Paskins like one of the opinions in Gemara's Vochid. But according to Pshat, he got the reward of becoming a Kayan then. Yes, Leimar, you could say that Rebbe says, Shegam a fane shel schar zeh behesem inyan now. The way the schar is fits to the whole thing that we said before. We're trying to say before that his anhogya was anhogya l'maylam and ateva l'gam. That's why the Eibishter behaved him on ateva. So the Rebbe wants to show that the schar is the same way. Shemahusei shel Pinchasi. This it fits to the fact that we said before that what is the mahus of Pinchas? Hayish pela betza per betza. Pela betza. Now how do you see it in the Kohuna? So he explains. In a kuna dover abobi Yerusha. Kuna is something that you inherit. Lazaran only goes to the children of Aaron. And those who were Kayanim at that time. Anyone who was, even though Pinchas was also a grandson of Aaron, but only those who were Kayanim in time when they built the Mishkan, they and their descendants are Kayanim. Pinchas was already born then. So but he wasn't a Kayan. So it's only here the kuna was given to him not as a Yerusha. From his father he didn't get it, from his grandfather he didn't get it. It was because of what he did, the Kinul Lakov. Why is it? Why did Hashem do it for him? Ela shazel mida connected mida. It's measure for a measure. Like a shame. She Pinchas kilo leYakov. Af shalei hoyim tzuvelze. Just like Pinchas went for the Eibishter, even though he wasn't commanded. Va'ad shazel shalei b'rotz chachamim. It was according to Yerushalmi, even like not the will of the chachamim. Shapi chochmas atayre, which means chachamim is according to the chochma of the yeshmokim l'shak v'tariyeh. This kind of there's a whole discussion to find out, figure out whether he did the right thing. But nevertheless, he did it beyond any seichel. So he got something that doesn't fit to the Chochmah of Torah. According to the Chochmah of Torah, where David established that you cannot become a Kohen. Or if the first few that became Kohen, and that's it. For now on, it's only the next generations, and anybody didn't become, you can never become. And this is something beyond nature, beyond the nature even of Chochmah of Torah. And that's all why? Because his behavior was that. Anal yesh levay ratam. And you could explain what is the reason why Takadebisha gave him kuna, which is something that normally is Yerusha. Yerusha is a natural thing. Whatever your father is, you inherit. This union that you got kuna, something that normally you cannot get unless you're a Yerush, is lemaila from even Hayran and Nes. The Haynu, it means like this. Besides the fact that something happened to him which goes beyond the way it was set up by Torah. You can't do anything. You can't do the highest aveda to the Eibishter. You can't become a Kohen. So, and here he did. There's more. This became his nature. Where do we see became his nature? The fact that his children will inherit for him. If it's just something completely beyond nature, so it's given to him. The Eibishter took the beyond nature, made that into his nature. And if it's his nature, that this is something that you inherit. What's a pella we said before? That the nes becomes your nature. Nes doesn't mean that. Nes means nature is your nature. Then there's something beyond your nature. When you say there's anhog of a pella, means, like in this case, the anhog is beyond nature completely. But that's now becomes his tevah. That's the natural thing for him. Because that's the way things work for him. So that's what happens here. Became his nature. I'm wondering, I don't know if he brings it here, that we have, sometimes the Gemara uses a lotion on some people who were the melumet benisim. It could be it's connected. Melumet benisim, not only a miracle happens, they're used to miracles. It becomes their nature's miracle. Now, behine gulas kedushas meiracham yadmur beyebil bistamus topresh tezayim ma'isra shenasem din ahi. The gul of the Friedrich Rebbe and the bistamus topresh bezayin from the imprisonment. Hoise b'shvur the Shabbos Parshas Pinchas. It was in the week of Parshas Pinchas. Va'ed zeis, more than that, Shabbos Parshas Pinchas beidach birchas hagemel. When you bench gemel was taken Shabbos Pinchas. Ve'im kol inyon ha'ilamim hashgacha protis keteres of Hashem Tov. Everything in the world is hashgacha protis. The Hashem Tov says, "Kol shel kalochemer inyon ish Yisrael." Certainly when it's about a Yid. Ahachas kama v'kama shel nos Yisrael. Certainly by the nos of Yid. Mizeh movement for that we understand. Shegulas kedush meiracham yadmu shayches lateichen inyon shel Pinchas. So the Friedrich Rebbe's Gula, Parsha Pinchas has a Shaychus to Pinchas. In Order 31, the Rebbe says, and you see the Friedrich Rebbe's two names that are Shaychus to Pinchas. Pinchas is Gematria Yitzchok. That's the second name of the Friedrich Rebbe. And Pinchas, it says, is from the children of Yosef, which is the first name of the Friedrich Rebbe. So B'chal, even in the name of the Friedrich Rebbe is hinted Pinchas. But we'll see how the Friedrich Rebbe's Hanhog is like Pinchas. The Friedrich Rebbe, Shemesiras Nafshe Bimdina Ahi, his Mesiras Nefesh in that country in Russia. Hoysal Derech Mesiras Nefesh the Pinchas Beit Mishlo Kanyas Kenosi. It's like Pinchas did with Kanyas Kenosi. Hainu, Lei Mesiras Nefesh Mechiyavim Ba'apidin Teireh. Not Mesiras Nefesh et Mechuyim. Like somebody else, when it would be another Godel. You have to make a cheshbon. Is this something you have to be Mesiras Nefesh or not? You look at Shulchan Aruch and see. Fricka didn't do that. Many of the Rabbanim held, but you don't have to give Mesiras Nefesh. Who Masa Nafshal? He was Mesiras Nefesh. Why? It wasn't like he did Mesiras Nefesh. One of the things he did this, he did that. When you needed Mesiras Nefesh, he did also Prat. Anything that he did was Mesiras Nefesh. So therefore, By him, Mesiras Nefesh was like by Pinchas. It was his hanhagya. Rebbe said, I explained in a different sicha. Al Dvar Gimel hat Kufis Hakloli is b'shleishim shneis nesius that you had 30 years of the Frierdiker Rebbe's nesius had 3 kufas, 3 periods in his Aveda, and all 3 Mesiras Nefesh. Kufa Reshayne be'esi yesem dinahi. The first period was when he was in Russia. Kufa Shnia be'esi be'Letland u'Poland. The second one when he was in Poland, Latland and Poland. Kufa Shlish is Bartz Sabris. The third one was in America. Shavik Dose Agdesha Shalei b'Chol Achas Mehen Dorsha take it Mesiras Nefesh. Each one of these 3 needed strength. Mesiras Nefesh. B'Chol Achas Mehen b'Tzura Acheres, and each one was a different type of Mesiras Nefesh. He explains. In Russia, Russia had to go on Mesiras Nefesh. He was ready. He gave up his life. He did things which put himself in danger. Aveda that put his physical life in danger. Not only his own life, also his shluchim, his chassidim. Because based on his teachings, and some of them even Poshet, he sent them. So these chassidim and the shluchim worked in spreading Torah, strengthening Yiddishkeit in Russia. They put themselves, their life in line, they put themselves in danger. So the first kufa is Mesiras Nefesh begashmi. Kufa shniya, the second one is where he lived amongst Yidden who were from. There he built yeshivas. And he worked in spreading Torah. He spread Chabad amongst all the circles. And that needed Mesiras Nefesh because people were not at all at it. And it needed a different type of Mesiras Nefesh. But with Kufa Shlish, the third period, the Giyal Artis Abisi came to America, them all plague, and some there his Mesiras Nefesh was he had to change the outlook, the Hanoch of the people in the country. Shebartis Abisi is anders, and America is different. The EF Yiddishkeit Mamish wie in der alte Shtetl. You can't take Yiddishkeit here like in the old Shtetl. And that's what he worked on. You have to go with strength from Mesiras Nefesh against the whole flow. Everybody was against it. Some of them, Poshet didn't mean anything bad against the Rebbe. They Poshet felt that Rahman is on the Rebbe. They tried to stop it because they said he's gonna fail. It's going to be a big Agnes Nefesh. Better don't start. So they tried to stop it. There were some who Pasha Begashmis went against the Kavon against. That's a different. But the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't care. It's all Mesiras Nefesh. Now Shekol Echad Mishleishes Ifani Elam Mesiras Nefesh. All 3, each one of these 3 ways of Mesiras Nefesh, who Misuk Shein Zemezeh, complete different type. Ukvei Kedushas Meir V'Chomi Admur, and the Frierdiker Rebbe Kofas V'Nachshel Shokolechad V'Echad V'Chayis Mesiras Nefesh. He went into the waves, into the river. In all of them. Now, usually, the way another Sichos Rebbe even teaches is usually there's some people who could go Mesiras Nefesh when it comes to Yiddishkeit, it comes to Chassidus and working with from people, or it comes to this type of Mesiras. Some people have a chush in this, some people have a chush in this. But to have a Mesiras Nefesh in all of them equally, why would that be? Because Zeo Ish Mesiras Nefesh Be'etzem Mahusei. Because his level is Mesiras Nefesh. Everything that he did, that he knew he had to do, he did to Mesiras Nefesh. Like Pella. Pella is one thing. Automatically, all the things come out against nature. But not because it's a thing that we do against nature, this against nature. It's a complete different hanhagya. That's the actual lesson to us. We'll go in the way that he taught us. Will follow in his ways. To work and strengthen the Yiddishkeit and spreading Torah with Mesiras Nefesh. Now you don't have to do it out of hardships and Gashmis. Everything is good. But if you do it with Mesiras Nefesh, meaning you give yourself over completely beyond limitations, without considering the obstacles, which means you're like Pinchas, then you're Zeicher, that a Pella happens. What does a Pella happen? Not that a miracle will happen. That is Baruch Matzliach as Aveda b'derech Pella. That the whole Aveda you Matzliach in Pella. Because them, Ma'ayir, or maybe this will hasten and bring very soon, in our times, Kiyum Ayud, the fulfillment of the promise. He made says Chameret Mitzrayim Arenu Niflois. That the Mashiach will come like with Mitzrayim, will so Niflois. And the Rebbe doesn't state truth, but it means based on the Sicha. That what it means is Mashiach will come. It won't be a lot of miracles, more miracles than you see as Mitzrayim. Niflois. The whole matzav ha'elan, the whole matzav will be a matzav of Pella. But it all started already with the Friedrich Rebbe, with that goal.
How is Yosef related to Pinchas? From Hora 31.
Yeah, it says, Rashi says, on one side he was from the family of Yisrael,
okay.
and the other one is from Mizera Yosef.
Naturally.
Yeah. Like he was for Shevet Levi. He was from the father was from Lozer ben Adnakain.
His mother.
Starting from his mother.
Yeah.
That's why the Shvatim who complained and everything, they said, look, he's a Enikol of Yisrael who fed a golem with the Zorah. He's also from Israel. He brings it. Rasha says it in Ve'ero.
Another observation, the Rebbe never uses the word Russia. Cholist.
Yeah.
He never said Russia.
But that's, you know why? Because it was not safe.
Not safe to say it.
Sure.
The Rebbe said Moshe Chabarzo or the Medina.
Later he didn't like that expression. There's no curtain, no iron curtain, no chitza. But he used to say Medina Shalufnim, our previous country, or like he says in Medina Ahi, that country. He didn't say the word Russia.
Right.
He didn't want to put them in any, that someone will see it and the Rebbe speaking against. No, the Rebbe was very careful all the way till the end when the iron curtain fell. Then the Rebbe was like this. He didn't want to.
I grow
Yeah.